What's up, guys? Welcome to Mike It Yourself Dune Edition. We're in the middle of nowhere, California, and we're going to be swapping out the front wheel hubs on my 2017 Ram 1500. This should be a pretty simple job to do. It looks a little intimidating, but it literally is just a handful of bolts that you have to undo, and we can swap these out. So let's take a look at the parts and let's get a little bit about what we're doing it and why we're doing it.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love.
Alright guys, safety tip for this job: don't rely solely on a jack to keep your vehicle up. Make sure you use jack stands. I know Pittsburgh, I think it was, that had some problems with theirs, but those should have been replaced. So if you got good jack stands, put them underneath. Let the vehicle rest on the stand. You can use the jack as a supplement to just be a third point, but make sure you're safe before you crawl under any vehicle. Jacks can and do fail, so protect yourself. We need you around to do another job. Okay, so let's talk a little bit why we're doing what we're doing. So what I noticed is on my truck, as I was making some slow speed turns, some loud, you could hear noises. It was like a crackling sound, a clicking. It didn't sound right. Something wasn't right. And this being a two-wheel drive truck, so my truck's not a four-wheel drive, you know, my initial thought would have been, had it been a front wheel drive, it would have been bad CV axles or something like that. So took the wheels off because I wanted to inspect to see what was going on and see if maybe it was a brake thing or something like that, and discovered that it was not a brake problem, but rather the hub. So the hub sits, basically it's what's hanging on to these bolts here. So behind your rotor, you got to take this off, will be the hub. It's held on by 3 bolts, and it has the ABS sensor that's connected to it. But to kind of give you an idea of why, or you know, what led me to believe that it's the hub as a problem, I started to spin it, and as you spin it, you'll hear a little bit of a crackle. Now, I don't know how well this is going to get picked up by the GoPro, so hopefully you'll hear it. So of course you hear a little bit of the rotor being spun because of the brake caliper. When I get that off, I'll try to spin it again, see if I can get some better sound out of it, but that way at least you know like what it sounds like, right? Because that's part of the other problem, is if you've never heard it before, you don't know what you're looking for. So anyhow, the process to this is pretty simple. Now that we got the wheels off, we need to take off the brake caliper. So you got your 2 slider bolts that will have to be removed. We're going to hang that off to the side. Then we have to take off the caliper mount, which is 2 bolts that go to the back side here. We'll remove the rotor, and then we'll be able to have access to the hub, which is going to be 3 bolts, and we'll be able to pull that out and swap it in. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove the caliper bolts. So they're 1/2 inch. These are the slider bolts. Take those off. And then depending on your slider bolts, there are nuts on the back side. You may have to hold those while you loosen up your slider bolt. Depends on your vehicle. So now, so we're going to go ahead and take this off, and we're gonna have to hang that. So I've got some steel wire here to use just to kind of prop that up, so you don't want to let your caliper hang on its own, and then we'll get at the 2 bolts for the mount, and that's going to be 13/16 size bolts, and we'll break those loose, remove that mount, and then we'll be able to pull the rotor off. So we'll go ahead and do that, and you guys get to watch.
Everything, fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything, fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
The rotor was frozen on there, so there's a couple approaches you can take to getting that off. You can use a rubber mallet. So I try to use this big bad boy, and it wasn't working.
3 pounds.
So I went to a sledgehammer and a block of wood. So you want to use that block of wood to protect your rotor if you're going to reuse your rotor. If you're not going to reuse your rotor, have at it. The other approach that I was going to use was to spray some WD-40 to help get in between the hub and the rotor, but luckily I was able to give it a good whack, and it broke it loose. So we can go ahead and pull that rotor off, and we can get to the 3 bolts that we need to get to. So that's on the back side here. You really can't see them because of kind of how this is angled, so let me see if I can get you back there. But we got 3 bolts, one here, one there, and then one here. So 1, 2, 3. We got to break those loose. Hopefully that won't be a problem. And then this whole hub should come out. We will have to reuse this rotor protector guard thing, so make sure you hang on to that, don't damage that. But I also wanted to see if I can get a better sound, or have you hear this the sound that this thing is making. So hopefully you heard that. Like I said, once you put some weight on it and torque, it gets a little bit louder, so that's just not healthy. So we're gonna go ahead, get those 3 bolts out, and we'll compare the new to the old. Okay guys, so here's what it looks like with it off. Like I said, just those 3 bolts. These things are monsters. Looking at the bolt, it doesn't look like there was any Loctite put on these, so we'll double check just to make sure. But yeah, you know, I wouldn't go covering it with Loctite if you're concerned or anything like that. But definitely want to make sure it is torque to spec. We'll be looking up our specs just to make sure on all of our bolts, as you always should. We're also going to clean this out. This is just a little bit of like grime or whatever. It's not even sticking on there, so you can get at that with like probably a nylon brush or something soft. You don't want to use steel brush or anything like that on that, but we'll clean that up. But let's take a look at the old and the new. All right guys, so we're going to just kind of look at these side by side. Of course, this is the new one, shiny, all that good stuff. What you want to make sure is that your plugs are the same. There isn't a left or right on this. They're either side, it doesn't matter. But you do want to check your plugs because there is a polarity and it's indicated on the plastic. So with the horns of the plug up, positive on the top, negative on the bottom, that matches. You got your triangular pattern here. Now the one difference I did notice is this one here doesn't have tabs and this one does. So I don't know how that's going to play into it. We'll find that out once we get it on, but that is a difference that I'm noting. I mean, I guess you could measure the distance between bolts or whatever, and then you got a pattern of 5. Like I said, these are universal, so if you did have 4-wheel drive, it looks like it's spline for your axle to go through that. So not a whole lot to it. Like I said, it's a pretty simple deal. We're gonna go ahead and get this one on and put it all back together. So we're gonna go ahead and put this new hub on. You do not, I checked, there isn't any Loctite on these, so we'll go ahead and insert these, get them started just to snug them up. The torque on these is 134 foot-pounds. So once you get it on there, it's a triangular pattern, so there isn't really, can't really do a crisscross because, yeah, you can't, right? You need more than 3. I did clean this area out with a rag just to make sure that the installation was a little bit easier. And then I had called out those kind of fins or whatever you want to call them. They don't do anything. So I don't know if maybe it's because they're using another application. Maybe it's in the 2500 or something like that. But yeah, so simple install. We'll go ahead and get started and yeah, enjoy the show.
Oh, these things came with all new, what do you call those, like plastic fastener things? I didn't even notice that. Yeah, we gotta pull the old ones out.
All right guys, so no project ever goes off without a mistake. And what mistake I just got pointed out to me was I put this guard on upside down. So I gotta rotate it. So right now, if I try to put my rotor on it, it'll hit this. So good catch. Yeah, and I got ahead of myself, but it's little things like that, right? So you just got to be watching out for yourself, double check your work, all that kind of good stuff. So I've got to unfortunately undo everything to right this wrong.
You better watch out if you ignite me's a road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows mean. He gets claws real big, pissed off quick, and if you cross him you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score, never getting bored, loves the blood and gore, always wanting more, freedom from the source. They don't really understand until they feel the force departed. If you start shit, you'll be heartless in the darkness, torn apart quick, you left scars ripped, you'll be chewed up and discarded.
And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
Adrenaline pressure, it's stormy weather, lightning, thunder, pouring weather. Yo, I'm a go-getter, try to do it like me, but I do it better. I got a mind that's clever, the beast inside is competitive as ever. I'm conscious, my subconscious an accomplice to me. I promise the darkness I can honest believe. But don't cross me, I might lose control of the lost beast. He's locked away inside with the key controlled by fight or flight.
And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
All right, guys, so we got it back together. Calipers on, everything's torqued down like it's supposed to, so we are good to go. I rotate it, I don't get that crackling sound anymore, so we are in a good place. All I need to do now is get my tire back on and throw some anti-seize on those studs, torque down the wheels, get it off the jacks, and we're done. No better way to test out how well you torque down your bolts than driving through a dirt road in the middle of a California desert. Like, if this doesn't shake things loose for you, I don't know what will. So we're test driving out our work just to make sure things are good to go. All right, guys, so we're just doing a quick little test ride. We want to make sure that the wheels don't fall off, and as long as that doesn't happen, I think we're good to go. Ultimately, like I said, this is a pretty simple job to do. It saves you a good amount of money. You just need some basic tools: jack stands, make sure you have the sockets, wrenches, torque wrench, of course. Be safe while you're doing it. If you can, get a hold of the service manual for your vehicle, whether it be Chilton or Haynes, whatever it is. I don't even know who makes them anymore at this point. But utilize those tools. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and it's a lesson learned for you. And that way you're more confident when you do that next job, becoming the DIYer or the MIYer in your family, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. You're probably seeing this the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and I just want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope you and your families are blessed, and that you have good fortune in the years to come. So until my next video post, I hope to see you in the wing.